What is going on, you guys? Um, 5 days until the national. At least 5 days until I take off to the national. I'll be heading there Tuesday morning. Should be getting into town around noon 30, around 12:30 or so. Um, so kind of a big thing for me. I feel more than some other guys. Um, I've been planning this particular national for 3 years. And it's been 6 years since I've been to a national. And it wasn't because I didn't want to go. Hell, I mean, once you go to one, you want to go to them all. Um, but due to different deployments and different detachments and stuff like that, I just could never make it. I remember last year specifically, last year I was a week before deployment, so I couldn't go. They weren't going to let me go anywhere. And then a year before that, I was actually on a detachment in Fallon, Nevada. Um, so it's always just kind of lined up with my job that I couldn't make it. And so this year, it's a wrap. We got the money, we got the plane ticket, we got the hotels, ready to rock and roll. So I'm super excited for that. Um, Another thing I'm pretty jazzed about is this will be the first time meeting a lot of my really, really good friends in person. Um, this will be the first time meeting Canadian Cards in person, who's kind of, well, not kind of, he's one of two of my best friends in the hobby, or in life, really, not the hobby. And the other one being baseball collector Mike. This will be the second time I've met him. We just went cross country a couple months back, which was weird. The first time you meet someone, you get in a truck with them and drive cross country. Um, that could have been really weird, but thank God it was awesome. It was a really cool experience. And then Triple Crown 24. She blinded me with refractors, those back pages. The list goes on and on of guys that I talk to on a fairly frequent basis that I've never met in person. So really excited for that to happen. As far as pickups, things I'm looking for. So my, I guess, perspective or my goals this national, not that I've been to a ton before, but my goals are very different than in the past national that I attended. And that is because I retire in a couple months. Um, and I guess in all transparency, one day I would love to do this for a living. I would love to kind of sell sports cards from home online for a living. I can be here more for my boys. I can help my wife out more, so on and so forth. But you have to lay that foundation. And I feel like this particular national is the beginning of that foundation. So I'm kind of going into this one with what can I buy to make some money. And I'm definitely not that dude to go buy, $100 cards trying to get, make 100, 200, or $1,000 cards. And so I'm more of like that dollar box guy, $5 box guy, so on and so forth. So I'll be spending a lot of time in the dollar boxes or in the bargain boxes that in years past, they just wasn't for me. It wasn't my thing. So that's one thing. Another thing I'll be looking for is living Hall of Famers, pretty much from every sport that sign TTM. Be it like Bob Cousy, Jerry West, Fran Tarkenton. All of these guys are guys that will sign TTM for the right amount of scratch. And their TTM fees are always cheaper than, the signings and stuff. So I'll be looking for that. And a lot of the smaller name guys also, the Ryan Sandbergs, the Andre Dawsons, and so on and so forth. So there's that. I got my list right here in front of me. So another thing is, although I've almost completely got out of collecting wrestling, not from a collecting standpoint, but from, I guess, once again, a resale standpoint. I have a couple different ideas in my mind that it may work, may not work. I'm normally pretty good at this stuff. Um, but I want to get back into the collecting the wrestling all-stars, not again for collecting purposes, but to resell. And I'll be looking to buy dudes that are with us still, not have passed on. So the Hogans, the Flairs, Jerry Lawlers, dudes of that such. Products that have came out lately for WWE that I'm kind of excited to see in person and potentially buy some to get signed in the near future is the 2022 Select WWE Prisms, the Elephant Prism, the Tiger Prism, and Zebra. Interested in seeing some of those at the show, and I know that might be like a needle in a haystack, but as well as Kabooms and Color Blast of different wrestlers. It's kind of a rabbit hole I think I want to go down as far as getting some of those, if I can get them cheap enough, and getting them signed and see what happens from there. I guess I've never admitted this on camera, so this might be a little weird. I've actually really gotten into the WNBA. When I was on this last deployment, there for about a month and some change, I would go do cardio after work every day, and at the time, the WNBA playoffs were going on, and at the time, that was the only damn thing we could get on TV. And so I watched it almost every single day for a month, and I really got into it. I really, really got into it. And you know, any playoffs of any sport, be it baseball, basketball, football, hockey, anytime you're in the playoffs, like ESPN, NBC, CBS, ABC, all of those networks do really, really good jobs of like cataloging or documenting different players and telling their story in different little segments. And I really got into it, man. And so I've been watching it about probably 4 or 5 games a week right now this year. So I kind of want to see what kind of colored prisms that I can get numbered. And I know that's going to be even harder to find than WWE. I know that I can't imagine there's going to be tables full of that stuff. But that's something more for like a PC, believe it or not. I'm not going to go bonkers and crazy like I did with wrestling. But I have my favorite WNBA players, and I'll see what they have. I already talked about the dollar boxes and such. There's some. So back when I went 6 years ago, there was a couple tables that had signed cards, and some of them had binders and binders of signed cards. Well, if you followed the channel for a while, or maybe you follow me on Facebook or Slab City, the Slab City Facebook group, you know, like autographs are kind of my thing, and autograph cards specifically. So I wanted to see if it would be if I would have the potential to buy autograph cards in bulk, be it 400 or 500 cards at a time. I've asked some guys, and some guys told me that there's no tables that do that. There's no tables that have binders and binders of cards. But I know specifically 6 years ago there was, and I could be wrong, but when I talked to Baseball Collector not too long ago, he said that there was some tables like that last year in Atlantic City. So that's just something that'll be in the back of my mind. And then, I guess looking into some sealed Pokemon boxes or booster boxes. Like somewhat older, but not terribly old, like not vintage in the Pokemon world. I'm looking for stuff that's like 4 or 5 years old. It's stuff that's out of print, that they're not going to keep reproducing. Lost Thunder is a box that I was thinking about picking up. Those go for around $350 to $500. I'd love to get a team up box, but those go for about $1,500 to $2,000, and that's kind of more than I want to spend on one particular item at the show. And that would be a simple buy and hold. That's not something I'd be buying to bust open or buying to flip a quick flip. But been watching a lot of videos and just doing my own little research about like Pokemon, And from what I hear, it's the same with like Magic the Gathering. Um, a lot of these booster boxes, once they go out of production and they quit making them, they go up in value. If you watch Alpha Investments on YouTube, Rudy, he did a video, oh man, about 3 or 4 weeks ago, where he was talking about Pokemon, and he said name one Pokemon box that has been out of production for 5 years that isn't over $200. And I don't know, I kind of took it as a challenge, and I went to sold items, and I did 20, 30 minutes of research, and I couldn't find one. And most of those go for $100 to $110 now. So, not that that's making a killing, over a 5-year span, making $90. But I mean, anytime you can buy something, there's kind of baked in profit if you just sit on it for a little bit. That's kind of cool. And that's something I think I want to dabble in the future, is sealed Pokemon boxes in cases, believe it or not. So something very different for me and very different for the channel. So that is that. That's what I'm looking for at the National. As you can see, very, very, very different probably from most people. I talked about Pokemon. I talked about WNBA. I talked about wrestling. I talked about TTMing. So the things I'm going to be looking for is a lot different than other guys that are looking for, vintage hockey or young guns or baseball Hall of Famers or tobacco cards or so on and so forth. Very different, but I guess that makes me the type of collector that I am. I collect very different stuff. So if you see me, please come by. I can't imagine there's a whole lot of people that will recognize me. But if you see me, please say hi. And if I see you and I recognize you, I'll definitely do the same. I kind of have the gift of gab in person. I've been told what you see on video is what you get in person. So you don't have to worry about any awkwardness with me. The guy you're seeing right now is the guy I am all the time. I don't flip a switch. I don't have a YouTube switch for how I act on and off camera. So, till next time, adios, be safe. Bye-bye. Hope to see you in Rosemont. Toodles.